Guys, I feel like a genuine farmer now. Got me some overalls to wear. I want to change the name of my channel to Farmer Griggs. Yeah, it's hot and humid it is here in Tennessee, and we're in the midst of another June. So I decided to try something a little different here. Kelly's always accused me of not having a proper rear end to be able to hold my jeans up, and I'm frequently showing butt crack all around the farm. And then because of that, I have to cinch my belt so tight trying to hold my jeans up that it cuts off circulation, especially when I'm sitting down. So I've been testing these out all morning so far. I'm really digging them. A lot more comfortable. I can reach down my pockets a lot easier than jeans. Not cutting any circulation off. I may permanently switch to overalls now. Anyway, we got 203 acres of wheat left in the field. I believe all the rain has finally cleared out for the foreseeable future. But that don't mean we're going to take our time getting the rest of this wheat crop out. It's Friday right after lunch. I sure would like to get done with this wheat crop in 2.5 days. Because we got plenty of other stuff to do in the field.
Welcome to June 20th. Should have been done with wheat, but Mother Nature had other ideas. Also, she went straight from monsoon season to extreme heat index. So 110 to 115, I think, for the next couple of days. So we're gonna try and stay hydrated and just get this wheat done. We've got like 200 acres left and we're done. And then it will be spraying cotton, spraying beans, spraying double crop, and then delivering wheat. So grateful for the downtime now, because guess what? We're not about to have any more. I have my passenger princess with me today. I don't know how long that's gonna last because it is too hot. I'm in charge of the bins again today. Andy should be back sometime tonight, and I will be resuming planting tomorrow.
Got the tractor topped off of fuel. Dad's on his way out here right now. We're waiting on UT extension to get out here for some test plots, which we got right here. I think he's got like 15, I don't know, 20 different rows. I thought the best bet was to leave the auger out while it was raining, while it rained on it. Bit of good washing while we were gone. It's about 90 degrees and it's hot. And I should have probably not wore pants today. I kind of messed up. But we're gonna get the service truck moved. Alrighty. Alrighty. Let's go get in some AC that actually works. Every time we try cutting wheat, it ends up raining on us at the end of the day, and we can't do it for 2 days. So hopefully this time we will not get rained on.
All right, we're going to start out today with University of Tennessee's and Pioneer's variety plots. I don't know, we got somewhere between 20, 25 plots. You can see where I laid off down there at the end. So we're going to start out by getting them harvested, and it looks like a UT just showed up. So not going to bore you with the test plot stuff. Y'all seen enough of it over the years, but for those of y'all that are growing wheat in this area, if I can remember, I'll post the results whenever we get done harvesting them for you, just in case you want to know what the hot new varieties to plant for next year are.
Trying to see which way the wind's blowing so I can actually get out without having to sit in here and run diesel.
All right, that's the last test plot. I think we had 21 of them. So let me get this unloaded, go down there and get a first-hand look at what the results are. All right, now we got that knocked out of the way. I went down there and talked with them a minute, and they don't have the actual yields figured up. It looked like yields was like really consistent across the board. Don't think there was going to be any wild swings, but one thing I was paying attention to was the test weight. Now, the test weight they're reading is going to be a little different than what we're going to get at the granary. In fact, the test weight readings we're going to get at the granary probably going to be a little bit lower than what they're showing, just because, well, the granary's trying to take you for everything that you got. They was showing test weight readings on their meters anywhere from a low of 55 pounds to a high of 69 pounds, with only like 3 of the 21 being 58 or above, and 58 is kind of the limit of where the granary start docking you for low test weight. Anything below 58, they start hammering you on the price pretty good. And I mean, that's what I was worried about with, you know, all of this rain. That's, you got 2 big concerns. Well, actually you got 3 big concerns, but since we sprayed a fungicide, I'm not really concerned about vomitoxin, but low test weight and then sprouting is my biggest concerns on quality and not being able to sell our grain. So we could have a problem getting rid of our grain. I don't know. I mean, granaries have taken in the past, but it seems like the last several years they just gotten more and more picky, and I mean, there's a chance we could have a hard time getting rid of our grain. One thing I am going to try to do is, because, well, all of that grain was testing right there around 13.5%, which is just fine on moisture. But if you can bring that moisture down a little bit, your test weight will actually increase, I guess, because your seed becomes a little bit more dense. It doesn't have that moisture in there. So we might wind up losing some weight if I can dry my grain down drier than that 13.5%. You know, we'll wind up losing some yield and some weight, but we should have a higher test weight. So we'll have fewer bushels per acre, but there's a better chance that the bushels we do sell we'll actually be able to sell, and then we should be able to get a higher price on it, which will hopefully negate the fact of not having as many bushels to sell. So I'm going to set the bin manager on my grain bin from 13% down to say about 12%. See if we can drive this wheat on down, get that test weight up, and, you know, give us an easier crop to sell with a higher price, rather than having more volume and then maybe having problems getting rid of it. Oh, there goes another lamb right out there. But it's too dang hot to try and run after him. Plus, he's a little older. He looks a little quicker than what I can get. Remember that fuel pump problem that I fixed in the last video? You know, I was complaining about it bogging down and just not having the power that it should. Well, she's gobbling it up now. And not running as much engine load, and engine RPMs are holding steady and running almost 5 miles an hour, 35 feet wide, and it's showing 92 bushels an acre right here in this spot. I'm glad our only power problem was just that one broke wire, and nothing more serious like a turbo or fuel problems or engine problems or anything else. It's like I done gone up 2 sizes on combines now.
Everything is flowing nicely today. Nothing is going in the loadout bin. We got that fixed. She definitely likes the fan. Don't you, babe? Yeah. My helper. The wheat still looks good. And that was after 2 more inches of rain. So, you know, you can't complain at all.
Speed up to 4.
sped it up to 4 miles an hour now instead of 3.5. Just got straightaways.
All right, let's have a conversation about one of the most controversial subjects in agriculture, test weight. Every year I see arguments in online agricultural forums about what test weight is, how it functions, whether it's actually important or not, and I'm here to tell you that it absolutely is important and is critical, not only determining the price that you get paid for your crop, but also in your yield. Now, the first thing to understand is actually what is a bushel? Well, a bushel is technically a unit of volume, of dry volume, and it's equal to the equivalent of somewhere around, I think, 9.3 gallons. Well, farmers don't sell by volume. We sell by weight. So why are we measuring everything in bushels? Well, sometime a long time ago, someone determined that a bushel-sized container contains about 60 pounds of wheat. It also contains about 60 pounds of soybeans, about 56 pounds of corn, and then your other grains have measurements too with how many pounds fit in a bushel sized container. So what is test weight and why is it important? Well, test weight is basically telling us how many pounds of the grain that we're harvesting will fit in that bushel sized container. You know, typically a bushel is supposed to hold 60 pounds of wheat. Well, I said that the test weight of the wheat that we're harvesting was showing somewhere between like 55 and 58 pounds of wheat. That means that that same volume size container is only holding about, 55 to 58 pounds of our wheat. And then we get docked below anything below 58 pounds. So basically what low test weight wheat is that I've got the same volume of wheat out here in this field, but it's low test weight, so that means that it weighs less than what it would have weighed originally had we been able to harvest it before we got all that rain, which lowered the test weight. We're harvesting the same amount of volume, but that same amount of volume doesn't weigh as much. So that's how the rain affected our yield by us losing yield. We don't have as much weight out here as we did before. And then not only that, do we have less yield out here because the wheat is a lower quality, it doesn't weigh as much as it should. We're also going to get docked on price at the elevator. Now, what about high test weight wheat? Good high quality soft red winter wheat that hasn't been rained on. We've sold wheat in the past that had a test weight of 60, 61 pounds. And what that's saying is that that same size bushel volume container, it could hold 61 pounds of the wheat that we were growing that year rather than the standard 60 pounds. And basically high test weight just means that the grain that we're selling is more dense than what is considered the standard, which would be 60 pounds. So test weight absolutely does play a factor. Our semi truck, 38-foot hopper bottom trailer, if we've got low test weight wheat, it's hauling the same volume of wheat, but it doesn't weigh as much, therefore we're getting paid for fewer bushels. Although technically, we're not selling bushels, we're selling units of 60 pounds of wheat. It's just that it becomes standard to refer to it as bushels, even though technically we're not selling a bushel, because if we were selling bushels, every time I hauled a truckload in, as long as we were filling that truckload up to the same level at each point, we would be hauling the exact amount of grain each time if we were selling grain by volume or by actual bushels, which we're not. We're selling by weight or in 60-pound increments. Now, typically in our area, like test weight on corn is usually not a problem. Typically we're selling corn that has extremely high test weight compared to the standard. I said someone determined that 56 pounds of corn would fit into a standard bushel size volume container. Well, it's very, very common for us to grow corn that's 59, 60, 61. I think I've even seen 62 pound test weight corn before. That means that same size volume container is holding 60 plus pounds of corn, which is well above the standard. Now, the farmers get paid any kind of extra premium if they produce high test weight grain, because, you know, we sure get docked on the price if we produce low test weight grain. And the answer is no, we don't get we don't get any extra money per bushel if we produce high test weight grain. Of course, a lot of people will say, well, your benefit comes in higher yield. You're selling the same volume, but it weighs a lot more. And I mean, that is true. But if we get docked for low test weight grain, not only are we selling the same volume at a lower weight and getting hit on that, we're also getting docked price-wise too. So, in my opinion, the grain markets need to change, and if you have superior quality, superior weighing grain, you know, you should get paid a premium for it. You know, the cotton market has certain standards on the grades of cotton, and if you produce above those standards, you get paid a premium per pound of cotton for a premium grade cotton. Unfortunately, it's not like that in the grain market, even though it should be. So I know that explanation might have been long and convoluted, and there's probably going to be a lot of people to watch this that are going to disagree with me and are going to leave me scathing comments in the comment section. That's all fine, but anyway, that is my understanding of test weight and how it factors into our yield and price. Test weight does pay. Low test weight means you have fewer pounds of grain to sell for the same volume. High test weight means you're getting paid for more pounds with the same volume of grain. Well, we're getting close to done with this farm, but this right here is a perfect example of just how much freaking rain we've had since this wheat is mature. I mean, look at all that grass and stuff just growing up by the wheat. Now, it's worse right here around the edge. It wasn't like that out in the field, but normally we would not see that at all. And it's not helping with the rotor losses either. All that green material wants to carry seed out the back of the combine with it because it doesn't grind up, and then the wheat seed gets like trapped in all that green material as it's going out the back and then getting kicked out. And then we get away from the edge and we get nice, good, clean wheat. But that's just a good visual example of just how far behind, how late we are on getting this wheat crop out. Alright, we just got moved over here to Ferguson Farm, and this is, no doubt about it, this is going to be the worst wheat I'm going to cut this year. And I've known it was going to be the worst wheat for a good long while, just simply because we don't have the stand over here. I don't really know what happened, but on this farm we just did not get a good stand of wheat, especially right around the edges. You see all that Johnson grass and stuff growing up out there around the edges. All of that's around the inrows and everything, and it just goes to show you how much of a difference just a few hours difference in planting date can be in getting a good stand, because we got 56 acres right across the road. You know, in total we've got like 155 acres in this one block, all same variety, all planted, you know, real close to the same time. But this farm right here, we didn't get a good stand, but all that across the road, we got a fantastic stand on it. Although on this farm, it seems like where we had the most problems with the stand, believe it or not, is where we did the ripping on, you know, 2 falls ago, because this is the farm where I did the most ripping. We ripped about half of this farm, and on the half of the farm that we ripped is where we're seeing the big problems with a stand around the edges. And I don't see how ripping could, especially 2 years ago, could make a difference in getting a stand of wheat. But I mean, that's the only correlation I can see. But you look over there on the other half of the farm, I mean, got a fantastic stand on that half of the farm. But But right here on this half, I mean, it's ugly. If I'd known all the rain was going to come in that we wound up getting though, I would have already cut this field a long time ago, because it's going to be a lot slower going than it should be because of all this green material I've got to run through the combine. And like I said many times before, combines don't like green material at all. But we've got a lot of it here. Well, anyway, we got moved over our last block of land, and the next time my header will be coming off the combine will be to put it on the trailer to head back to the shop, cause we're gonna be done. All right, listen to her groan. She don't like this Johnson grass at all. Well, anyway, we're gonna finish out the rest of the day over here on this farm, and then I believe I might try to go do a little bit of planting tonight. Bring you back later for that.
Hey, baby! Where are you taking them overalls to? Hey! Woo! Come on, buddy. Oh, I'm dying. Oh, I ordered him 3 more pairs.
What? Dude, those pipes are so obnoxious. I can't even hear myself think.
I haven't even got on it yet.
Whatever you did, I don't like it.
I ain't even got on it yet.
Anyway, Carter's carried me to the planter tractor. Work day's not done yet for me. What's your big plan's going to be tonight?
Go get some dinner.
Go spend that money you've been working for all day? Carter and his oversized wheels rubbing every time he turns. Showing out. All right, now that I've semi got my hearing back and can hear myself think, I get it. It wasn't too awful long ago. I was 16 and that's what I dreamed of, was having a jacked up loud truck. It's part of the rite of being a country teenage boy here in Tennessee. And I'm sure whenever Carter gets to my age, he'll look back on those days and his opinion of loud jacked up trucks will probably change just like mine did. Yeah, that's right. We come out playing because it's been over a week since Kelly planted anything. We were able to cut wheat 2 of those days, but you know, the ground conditions was way too wet to plant, and realistically it's probably still a little heavy to be planting, but we're losing yield every day that our beans are not in the ground because the days are already starting to get shorter. You know, we're losing sunlight every day, so, and the shorter day lengths can really affect our soybean yield. So my goal tonight is, we're up here on the Hart farm. Kelly's still got like 10 acres up here that she didn't get finished when she got rained out. We're going to skip the Todd farm and Baker farm that she hadn't got planted, and when I get done with this, we're going to move up to Windy City, which I was finished cutting this afternoon, and she can start there because I don't want Kelly by herself all the way up here in Madison County trying to plant beans without any kind of support or anything like that. If she were to have problems, you know, she'd be like 8 miles away from where we're cutting. So we're going to bypass those farms, put her on Windy City tomorrow, and then she can get that farm planted, then come over to Ferguson to where we're at. And if she has problems, you know, she'll be a whole lot closer to us. And then whenever we get all the wheat cut, get all those farms planted, then I'll come back up here and finish up with Baker, Todd, get those farms planted. So between planting this 10 acres and getting moved and getting test plots laid off, probably take me about an hour and a half. Get that done, go back to the combine, get it blown off for tomorrow, and then hopefully go home, scrounge up some supper, shower, and be ready for a long, hard day tomorrow. Alright, it's about 10 o'clock and up here in Windy City, we just got done with what I'm going to do. I got our test plot area laid off for our University of Tennessee variety trials. Got enough area there for 12 varieties, so I'm going to shut the planter off and turn it over to Kelly tomorrow morning. It's time to go get Itchy blowing off the combine.
Well, the jack of all trades is back to planting. Matt got the test plots laid off last night and some of the end rows done. The heat index is supposed to be close to 110 today. So we are going to try and stay in that air conditioning as long as we can. And hope and pray that that doesn't cause any problems today. As you can tell, it's still pretty muddy out here, even with these temps in the upper 90s and 100 degrees. The soil has a lot of moisture. The boys topped me off, so I can run about 60 something acres today and get caught up. Not a cloud in the sky. Woo, you can see the thickness. It's gonna be a great day, right, Mia?
Well, I think I might have kind of figured out what's the reason behind such a poor stand on this farm, which right here, it's not poor, and there's a lot of really good areas on this farm. I mean, I've seen some of the highest yields of the whole wheat harvest in spots on this field. Like right here, it's doing 95. But the problem is there's just way too many holes on this farm. I know I mentioned yesterday, you know, it seemed like it's a lot worse on the ripped ground. And I think the reasoning behind that is not because I ripped it, it's because of the job that ripper that I was using, the condition that it left the top of the ground. You know, I was borrowing an unreferred ripper, and you know, it really disturbed the top of the ground. I mean, it made this, where I ripped, it made it pretty dang rough. I think what happened is I just wasn't getting good seed to soil contact last year with the drill, as rough as the ground was, because I mean, we were right here at the end of wheat planting. You know, it was November, I was ready to get done, and typically I run my drill somewhere between 7.5 miles an hour. And well, you put it across this rough ground and you get a lot more bounce, and I think I just had a lot of areas that I wasn't getting seed in the ground. And I'm really shocked that if that's in fact what happened, I didn't notice a lot of that seed sitting on top of the ground, because when we're planting in the cotton residue, you can see the soil pretty easy. It seems like we got the worst stand mainly on the end rows, where it's rougher, because I think some of these end rows I like ripped twice just to make sure I got them good and ripped up. And it seems like where the stand is the thinnest, I mean, that's where I'm doing the most bouncing and rocking and everything else. So I don't know, I was kind of hoping this farm would smooth out, and it has smoothed out a little bit, but it's still pretty dang rough after that ripping. I really hate to, but I might have to pull a disc over here next year and disc and do all and just smooth this up. Like right there, we hit 110 bushels right there, but this farm's a lot slower going than what I was hoping. You see all this green material, but a lot of that's Johnson grass. You know, we kind of got a thinner stand right here, and I mean, it's just coming right up through it, and it's sucking a lot of power from my combine. Having to run 3.5 miles an hour, whereas I should be able to run, you know, 4.5 to almost 5 miles an hour. But my goal is to get the rest of this farm done. We got started out with like 74 acres on this farm, and my goal is to get this whole farm done today.